So, today we are getting into some unconventional ways to improve your sales. And when I say unconventional, I really mean it. Because most people in sales only focus on scripts, objections, tonality, and the usual stuff. But if that's all you are focusing on, selling can become stressful and honestly can be a bit boring. What makes you great at sales isn't memorizing more lines, it's growing as a human being. So, I'm going to share a few skills and disciplines that have nothing to do with sales on the surface, but everything to do with becoming a sharper, calmer, more decisive, and more effective salesperson when you're talking to people. Let's start with something huge: decision making. Most people struggle to make decisions. It's not just the big ones, even tiny ones. What to eat, when to leave the house, which way to go, when to commit. I was reading a Harvard study recently, published a behavioral study showing that indecisiveness increases anxiety by up to 35%. Because the mind stays stuck in threat mode, meaning the brain reacts to hesitation almost like danger. And in sales, people instantly can pick up on that. If you hesitate, they hesitate. If you're unsure, they become unsure. There's even research from Princeton showing that people mirror the emotional state of the person speaking to them within milliseconds. That's how quickly this happens. So if you're not steady, they won't be steady either. That's why becoming a more decisive person matters. Now, I was blessed in life to have a dad who was a military veteran. Even long after retiring, he was the same way: calm, quick, and steady. If something needed to be done, he didn't debate it. He just acted. Not in a reckless way, but with certainty. And that's what the military trains you for. You build something called stress inoculation, the ability to think clearly under pressure. And that can be a superpower in sales. All right, now let's get into the unconventional stuff. One of the first things that actually makes you better at sales is chess. Chess might look unrelated, but it's basically a workout for the part of the brain that handles planning and decision making. You have German neuroscientists ran an MRI scans on chess players and found that experts have stronger activation of the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the same part of the brain you use when navigating complex conversations in sales. When you play chess, you're training your mind to think 2 to 3 moves ahead, to anticipate reactions, to stay calm under pressure, to recover from mistakes, and to see patterns before they even form. That is exactly what makes someone incredible at sales. When someone throws you an objection, you don't panic because, your mind automatically sees multiple pathways forward. And chess teaches humility. You can be winning, feeling great, and one small mistake can change everything. So all that keeps you grounded. And people trust someone grounded way more than someone who's trying to force things. Number 2, let's talk about poker. Now, I myself, I'm not a poker player, but I've always admired poker players. Poker is psychology disguised as a card game. There's a study from University of Chicago studying that poker players develop strong emotional regulation because they constantly practice separating emotion from action. Meaning, you might feel excited, you might feel nervous, and you might feel unsure. But your decisions stay calm and neutral. That's stoicism in a deck of cards. Sales is the same. Some days everything clicks, and some days nothing lands. If you let your emotions swing with every conversation, you burn out. Poker also forces you to make decisions with incomplete information. Now, this is the key. Just like sales, you never know exactly what someone is thinking. You never really know their full situation. You never know their true fears that they're hiding from you. Yet, you still have to navigate the conversation with confidence. Even if you've never played the game, just admiring the discipline behind it keeps your ego in check. It reminds you that you're always a student, and that mindset makes you extremely adaptable in sales. Now let's talk about something that I personally do. Ice baths. Not because they're trendy, not because they look cool on Instagram, but because they force your mind in a deep state of calm. When you step into freezing water, your brain triggers the same physiological response it would during a panic attack. Fast breathing, racing heart rate, fight or flight. And here's where it gets really interesting. Andrew Huberman talks about how cold exposure strengthens the prefrontal cortex, control over the amygdala, the part of the brain that is responsible for fear and emotional reactivity. Meaning, you literally train your brain to stay calm in stressful situations. That skill directly translates to sales. A tough client doesn't shake you. A tense moment doesn't bother you. A last-minute problem doesn't knock you off balance. You learn control, and that is stoicism. Remaining steady regardless of the storm. The great Seneca said something I love. The man who has prepared himself for the storm smiles when it arrives. Ice water is a storm you willingly step into. And once you've trained yourself to breathe through it, the rest of life feels easier. Imagine being in ice water on a 20-degree morning. Your body wants to panic. Your mind wants to run. Every instinct inside you is screaming at you to get out. But you slow it down. you relax, you breathe. That's not motivation. That's mental armor. And when you build that kind of a mind, steady, calm, controlled, your sales conversations naturally change. People feel safe around you. And humans trust the calmest person in the room. Now, here's the thing. You don't need to try all three of these. These are just some of my ideas that I have studied and I do myself. Things I've picked up over nearly 25 years in sales. They've helped me become sharper, calmer, and more grounded. But your path might look different. Maybe for you, it's chess. Maybe it's poker. Maybe it's the ice baths. Or maybe it's something completely different. It could be running. It could be journaling. It could be martial arts. It could be meditation. Anything that challenges your mind in a meaningful way. The goal isn't to copy any routine, but the goal is to find something that develops you as a person, not just as a salesperson. So try one of these, try all three, or try something of your own. And if you already have something that's helped you think clearer and handle pressure, put that in the comments. I'd love to hear what's worked for you, and let's continue this conversation. We can all learn from each other. Thank you.